Hello, guys. I'm back. Your boy, international football guru SK, also known as Semikiani. I'm back this time with my AFCON predictions video. You know, AFCON will kick off in less than 24 hours. Actually, yeah, today. Uh, we will have the opening game between Ivory Coast and Guinea Bissau. And Semi Kiani looking good as usual. Thank you. Thank you, bro, Danny. Um, yes, I want to get this video out of my way. Finally, get my predictions across. I mean, I was already pretty set on my predictions yesterday, but because of lack of time, I was not able to upload or go live. You know, I had to do the Asian Cup first because Asian Cup started one day before AFCON, and yeah, I this video won't take long whatsoever because I'm very honest. My knowledge on African teams is not as good as with Asian teams, so I don't have too much to say on each team. I watched most of these teams at least a couple or several times lately. Uh, at the very least, highlights. For some teams, I watched also a full 90 minutes, so I do have an idea. I do have a grasp what I'm talking about, but I will not go in depth or talk about particular, especially about certain players or so. That's for that I don't have enough knowledge, and I don't want this video to become again so long as the Asian Cup video because I think it's crazy to have a 2.5 hours long live stream or video because in modern, in nowadays people don't have much time to check out such long videos. So this AFCON prediction video I will keep short, brief, concise. I think we will be we will have wrapped up everything in half an hour. I think so. I will say only a couple of things on each team, give short my explanations, no in-depth analysis. And if there's questions, I can answer, of course. Otherwise, on Twitter, there's always the opportunity to discuss about the teams. And spoiler alert, I will have many bold predictions in this video. I had also a couple surprises or bold predictions for the Asian Cup, but this my AFCON predictions will contain even more surprises and bold predictions. I'm feeling like I have to go bold because AFCON is also a tournament that regularly produces upsets and surprises, and because of the fact that the level between the teams is there's not such a big gap as in Asia, and because of that, I think it's more likely that we see upsets at AFCON than at the Asian Cup. And this year, particularly this year, many heavy head hitters or powerhouses look unconvincing. Some look even pretty bad going into the tournament. That makes me think that this is the time maybe to go with maybe with some surprises, pick some unpopular teams maybe to go very far, and have maybe some group stage casualties. I think this is maybe the time, the year where we could really see some surprises uh, at this AFCON. And I will just look at the comment section. I don't really interest in AFCON, but thought I would stop by and say hi. Okay. Brandon Blanco says, Salute, Sami. Yeah, thank you. So let's start. Group A. I will look at my mobile phone because the groups are there. Group A contains Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea, Ivory Coast or Cote d'Ivoire, how you want to call it, the hosts of this tournament, and Guinea-Bissau. This group has on paper two heavy hitters in it and then two outsiders, but Equatorial Guinea, they have proven their worth. They have shown that they are not a side to mess around with because they made the quarterfinals of the last AFCON, and They are showing good signs. They have good results. They're a consistent side. They don't score many goals. That's to their disadvantage, but they are defensively solid. Guinea-Bissau, a nation who qualified for the three previous AFCONs as well, but they always exited in the group stage. They don't seem like a good tournament team. They are good at getting to the stage, at qualifying to AFCON, but they never do anything in tournaments. And I haven't seen very little lately to think me otherwise. I think this will be again a disappointing campaign for Guinea-Bissau and Nigeria. Everybody talks about their potent attack because they have on paper some of the best strikers in the world, um, especially Victor Osimhen. We all know him. The thing is, though, they are a dysfunctional team. There's no connection really between the midfield and the attack, and the defense is also vulnerable. Goalkeeper is also an issue. So this team, Nigeria, is actually, frankly, overrated. I feel, based also from what I saw, I don't rate them highly. But they're still Nigeria. And Nigeria never exits at group stages at AFCON. It barely happens. Basically never happens. And we've got, of course, Ivory Coast, very talented squad, many upcoming players. They have quality players in all departments, and it's a good blend. It's a good blend of experience with youthful talents. And yeah, I like them a lot this year. I think they are coming also in good form into this AFCON. So my predictions for this group are like this. I will start from the bottom, work my way up to the top. I have Guinea-Bissau coming in fourth place. I have Equatorial Guinea coming in third place, but still qualifying for the knockout stage. I have Nigeria coming in second place, and I have host Ivory Coast topping the group. Yeah, that's my predictions for Group A. So let's proceed to Group B. Unfortunately, nobody is live now attending. It's no problem. I'm streaming at a very weird time. It's a very inconvenient time. I know it. Decide always spontaneously sometimes, and it's up to me. Group B has Ghana in it, Cape Verde, Mozambique, and Egypt. Coming in fourth place, I have in this group Cape Verde. Cape Verde, they have become sort of a mainstay at the AFCON. In the last editions, more often than not, they tend to qualify for the AFCON. They are actually a solid side because they have many European-based players. We all know their connection with Portugal. As a matter of fact, they have also quite several players who apply the trade in Portugal, and they usually make it out of a group at AFCONs. Last time it happened so when they made the round of 16. The reason why I don't pick them this time is that it's an aging squad. I think their best players, they are all on the wrong side of the 30s. And also based from what I saw lately from full games or highlights, I sense that they are a team on decline. I watched, for example, a friendly where they got destroyed by Algeria like 4-0 or 5-1. I'm not sure. I believe it was 5-1. World Cup qualifiers didn't impress me either. They had a 0-0 stalemate at home against Angola, not a good result. I think they are at the moment in a decline, and that's why I put them in fourth place. Curveball, third place, Ghana. And I'm going bold now. I don't have Ghana coming out of the group. I don't like the look of this team. Always when I watch them, they look like such an incoherent team. There's no chemistry or uh, between the players, and there's no connection. It's such an incoherent team. I don't care that they are Ghana, they are big name African football, and that they have on paper also some pretty good players like Mohamed Kudus. Um, I just don't see it with this team. It's so incoherent. And I watched them lately in World Cup qualifiers against Madagascar. They hosted Madagascar, won 1-0 by a stoppage time goal, and that game could have gone either way. Madagascar could have won at Ghana if they hit the post, I believe, in the 81st minute. If they score that, it was, I believe, was it a header? I'm not sure. I believe it was a header. If they score that, maybe they win at Ghana. And Ghana lost also to Comoros in World Cup qualifiers. And they look awful. I'm sorry. They look awful. Maybe defensively were okay, but when it comes to play in the attacking third, in the final third, they look awful. I just don't see any team play whatsoever, and they rely exclusively on individual talent. And although this is on paper an easy group, may, I'm not sure individual talent will cut it for them. At the last AFCON, they also exited in the group stage. I could see a repeat. It's a bold prediction, I know, but I could see a repeat of it because Chris Hughton, the manager, is not a very capable manager. He's a guy basically who plays a very defensive style of play, and I don't know whether this fits this Ghanaian team because I think most of the good players there in midfield and in attack, and it's just the wrong manager. It's just a mismatch. It's the wrong fit, the wrong manager for the wrong team. He needs to go, in my opinion. Chris Hughton has no future for him at the helm of Ghana. After this AFCON, he will have to go. He will have to go. There's no way, because won't have a successful campaign. I predict a group stage exit. I know it's harsh, but I'm just going for it because I think among the teams who are in pot one and pot two, they are one of the best picks for a flop based on how they look. If Madagascar and Comoros can cause them problems, so can Cape Verde and Mozambique. These teams are not worse than Comoros and Madagascar. It's same level, arguably even slightly better. So Ghana are in trouble. They could get grouped. And that's my thoughts on Ghana. Second place, and my shout to be a surprise team at this tournament, Mozambique. I'm backing these guys because I was impressed when I watched them in a World Cup qualifier against Algeria last month. They did lose to Algeria 2-0 at home, but they gave Algeria hell. In the first half, they should have scored one or two goals. They were the much better side than Algeria. Algeria were really struggling. They couldn't keep them out. They conceded many chances to Mozambique, and somehow Mozambique couldn't score. And then in the second half, it happened what had to happen. Mozambique ran out of steam, and Algeria um, found the breakthrough and scored and won that match. But it was an impressive performance. I'm not referring only to that performance. I watched also Mozambique in a friendly against Angola, against Nigeria, I believe. They are a capable side. They are capable. They can attack and they can score goals, and that makes me confident that they can uh, get at least a draw against Ghana and beat Cape Verde because they have the attacking firepower. Based from what I've seen, they have some skill. They have some talent. They are not an incapable side. They have some European-based players. Uh, I believe one of the best players is like Jeremy Gaetemo, something like this. He's a good player. And I think they were surprised. They are my shout for a pot four team to defy the odds, Mozambique, because I think looking at their opponents, they play against a struggling Ghana team. I perceive Mozambique on the rise. It's worth a gamble. I'm gambling on Mozambique to come in second. It's a bold prediction, but I'm going for it. First place, I have Egypt. Is not much to say on Egypt. For me, they are my personal favorites for this AFCON. I think many other people would put them top three, top four favorites, maybe. Um, it's a majorly domestic-based squad. We all know that, but they have also a couple guys who play in European leagues, like Mohamed Salah, of course, the star. And Mohamed Salah still, up to this day, hasn't won an AFCON. And if that is ever to change, it is this time, in my opinion, because this time with many powerhouses also looking iffy or out of form, uh, and Egypt coming in form into this tournament, it's a good chance for Egypt to win the trophy this time. Is my opinion. They should make it at least, at the very least, to the quarterfinals, and I just like the team play this team has, the experience. It's a very experienced squad. They played together as a team, the togetherness. I like all these factors about this Egypt team. I like the manager, Rui Vitoria. I think has transformed them to a more proactive style. We see Egypt actually playing on the front foot, creating chances, scoring goals. That was not like that at the last AFCON. With Carlos Queiroz, they were very defensive. We saw them going very deep thanks to winning penalty shootouts and so on. But this time, I expect them to shine, to play some free flowing, nice football. And I back them to come first in this group. Group C, we're already 17 minutes in, so I think this video will take, again, maybe like 40 minutes or even more. But it is what it is. Group C has Senegal in it, Cameroon, Gambia, and Guinea. This is a very tough group. This is a group where anything can happen. Really anything. And you will also see my predictions. I'm going for some bold takes because I think this group is very balanced. Uh, on paper, you would say Senegal and Cameroon are the favorites, but I'm not predicting based on paper. I'm predicting based on what I've noticed, what I've seen lately, and patterns and all that. Coming in fourth place in this group, I have uh, Gambia. Gambia, at the last AFCON, they made the quarterfinals. They were the surprise team. Uh, they haven't carried over the momentum of that last AFCON. I think somehow the excitement around the Gambian squad is gone. Uh, I'm not sure exactly why, but also the performances are uh, bad. They qualified for this AFCON in with a goal in the last minute on the final match day against Congo. They were chasing the game 2-0 and they drew in the final in the dying seconds 2-2. Really in the dying seconds. It was really in the last seconds. And this shows you that they are not the same team as in the last edition. They are not performing anymore to the up to the level they used to perform. And they could still advance in this group. I wouldn't be shocked. I considered them for a long time, but eventually this is my prediction that they come in last. And yeah, I don't have anything to add. Coming in third place and another huge curveball, Senegal. And I'm also not picking Senegal to advance. I'm making Senegal, together with Ghana, my group stage casualty of this AFCON. Yeah, you heard it right. Senegal will get grouped in my AFCON predictions. Yeah, it is shocking. I know it is shocking. But I just don't see this team. The performances, the closer we got to AFCON, got worse and worse. You know, they had they had a good qualifying, scored many goals in the process, dominated. Okay, they beat also Brazil in a friendly. Okay, but this is all like 6 months ago or so. It's not the recent performances have been all disappointing. I see, uh, I have bad vibes on Senegal. It has also to do with the fact that the reigning champions in recent tournaments always underperforms at the AFCON. The last reigning champions who did well, very well in the subsequent AFCON was Egypt. They won in 2008 and they successfully defended the title in 2010. That was the last AFCON champion who did very well after having won it in the subsequent edition. Since then, we have seen teams not qualify for AFCON, having group stage exits, and the best performance was Cameroon in 2019. They had won in 2017, and in 2019 they exited in the round of 16. That's the best we saw in the last like 10, 15 years a reigning champion do. I don't see Senegal going deep at all. Yeah, bold prediction that I don't see them coming out of the group. But if even if they come out of the group, I think quarterfinals is their max. I don't see this team touching a semifinal this year. I just how they play as a team. I think I saw some defensive issues in the World Cup qualifier against Togo. Yes, they kept a clean sheet, but they were very lucky to keep a clean sheet. Togo had, especially in the last 10 minutes or so, three big chances, could have won that game. And they got lucky. These were the first, you know, uh, the writing is on the wall. These were the first bad signs for me. And the other day, we played Niger in a friendly. They won 1-0 by a stoppage time goal. And again, I watched full 90 minutes. Again, they look clueless. I don't know. I don't enjoy watching Senegal. They I don't know what it is. They rely exclusively on the individual quality. There's no team players, no cohesion. In attack, at least, there's nothing to be seen. Nothing. They rely on Sadio Mane to produce his runs and so on. And we know that several of the main players play now in Saudi Arabia, and I think this will be seen at this AFCON that it has had a negative impact on them. And I'm not sold on them defensively. They're still kind of decent defensively, but don't rate them at all in their attack. I think their attack is atrocious. Against Niger in a friendly the other day, Sadio Mane was not playing, okay, but still, they didn't create many chances against Niger, and they won just after a corner, after a set piece in stoppage time against Niger. It's not good enough for me. It's not good enough. I see they lost their consistency also. Senegal lost also to Algeria at home in a friendly 1-0. They did beat Cameroon 1-0 in a friendly, but again, I believe they scored off a penalty. Where is the attacking output with Senegal? I don't see it. I can tell you they won't score two goals in a game at this AFCON. They will score one goal at max per game. I don't see the attacking output. I'm picking Senegal as my group stage casualty. I think they will get grouped. I think the mindset is also not there. The mindset, Senegal are not a historically very big nation in African football. They are not. It's a fake news. It's not true. They won their first ever AFCON last time, and before that they made it in 2002 to the final. I believe they had also maybe another final appearance, but I'm not sure. But they are not like Egypt, like Cameroon, like Ivory Coast, like Nigeria. They are not that storied nation with so much history in this competition. They are not. They have risen in this century. My point is, Senegal, I have doubts on the mentality, on the mindset when they go as reigning champions into a tournament. Can they deal with the pressure? I'm leaning towards no, they can't deal with it because they are not a nation with a lot of pedigree. Yes, they have amassed some pedigree in the last 10 to 15, 20 years, but it's still not on the same level as the aforementioned nations. And when I see them in these friendlies, I see really a team. Uh, I'm missing the words. I'm sensing that they are kind of scared. I don't know. I not cannot find the right words, but if they perform in World Cup qualifiers and friendlies already like that, look shaky, or they don't have any composure. That's the worst thing. Then how they're gonna do as reigning champions at an AFCON? If you know, I don't have good vibes on Senegal. I think there will be a flop at this AFCON. I'm going for the bold take. Group stage exit. I can see them grabbing 2 points, something like this. Another thing to consider is in 2002 they had a World Cup run to the quarterfinals, and they were also hyped for the 2004 AFCON because of that World Cup run. What did they do at the 2004 AFCON? Nothing special. They grabbed 5 points, one win and two draws in a lenient group because it contained Kenya and Burkina Faso back then that was nowhere as good as today. They finished second in the group and then they exited in the quarterfinals. They didn't do anything special. That that is an example for me that if they are under pressure, if people expect them to do well, they don't live up to the expectation. It's just a one example, we will see. But this time, as reigning champions, they are still expected to do well, by most people, or they're at least on people's radar. So, can they deal with the pressure? We will see. I have my doubts. So, with my explanation, these are my boldest predictions. You will have seen in in this video. Senegal to get grouped, and this leaves us with second place with Guinea. Guinea are a decent nation historically. I would say they are top 15 nation in African football. They are always up there, but they never break through. They have a tendency to get out of the group at the AFCON, but they can't go deep. They have never won a knockout stage game in AFCON history. That's a shocking stat. Couldn't do so either last time out in 2019. They in 2021 they lost, I believe no, not to Senegal. To who lost they? They lost to Gambia. They lost to Gambia actually, and they had also the chance to reach the quarters in 2019, but again they lost in the round of 16. I believe that time to Senegal. Guinea, they have of course a talented midfield. We know the likes of Naby Keita, Elix Moriba. They have Girassi up front. Um, I'm still not sold on Guinea. I think there's a lack of connection between midfield and attack. But given the fact that I rate Gambia worse and I see Senegal flopping, I have Guinea by default in second place. I still don't think that they will do anything special at this tournament, but I see them coming out of this group. This AFCON is also in a bordering country. Ivory Coast is a neighboring country of Guinea, so they will have probably some good, decent support. So I'm backing them to at least get out of the group like they always tend to do so. First place, I'm not sold on this nation whatsoever either. It is a group where I'm not sold on any of these teams. I have first place Cameroon just for the simple reason pedigree, because they are one of the big heavy hitters in African football, and they usually tend to always get out of the groups. They are not a nation who easily get unstuck in group play. Um, I know some people I saw picked them to have a group stage exit at this AFCON. I see also why, because when I see them, they are also a dysfunctional team. They are incoherent and they don't inspire any confidence in me. But they had still a decent World Cup, finished with 4 points. And they surprised me actually in that World Cup because I thought they would be one of the two, three worst teams at that World Cup, but they were far from it. They were a decent team, pushed Switzerland, drew with Serbia 3-3, and beat the Brazilian B team on the final match day. So I think some people do them dirty. I think they can at least perform in group play. Whether they will perform in the groups in the knockout stage, I don't have confidence. But for the group stage, I'm picking them to come in first. These are my predictions. Group D, I think this group looks fairly straightforward. Algeria, Mauritania, Burkina Faso, Angola. Coming in fourth place is Angola. I don't have much faith at the moment in Angola. It's a national team that has on paper some decent talent and should at least come third in this group. But the thing is, they have a horrible FA. The FA doesn't provide the necessary support, and that's based from what I saw from my research. They are missing also a couple good players like Helder Costa, like Ivan Cavallero, I believe. He's a winger for Lille, I believe. And also a striker he plays in Italy. I forgot his name. I believe it's uh, I forgot his name, but a striker who plays, I believe, in Fiorentina or Bologna. I'm not sure. And some Italian club. They haven't featured. The last time they featured at an AFCON was in 2019, and they had a group stage exit. And as I said, VFA is terrible, and I think this will have an impact also on the pitch performances. In World Cup qualifiers, they drew with Cape Verde 0-0, and they drew with Mauritius 0-0. Again, they have huge goal scoring issues. They have a huge goal scoring drought. So it's risky to bank on them to do well when they don't score any goals. They don't concede many goals either. But I don't have much more to add. I think they will finish last in this group. Third place and to advance is Mauritania. I think they are a nation on the rise. They have a decent program going on. They have some domestic based players in the squad, and they have also a couple or several European based players in the squad. They play mostly for low profile clubs. So, and I watched also Mauritania play. Nothing special, I would say, but I still think they have good teamwork and they can at least defend solid. I mean, the defense is solid. They drew also Tunisia in a friendly the other day, 0-0. And they are coached by Ami Abdou. Why I'm telling this? He's the guy who guided Comoros last AFCON Comoros to a round of 16 finish. And that was a huge story, big upset. And they lost to Cameroon in the round of 16. That was that game where they had no goalkeeper before the game, and they had to put in a outfield player into goal. Big story. So, and Ami Abdou, I rate him. I think he's a good coach, and I think he has progressed this Mauritanian team. Mauritania, I believe they made the last two AFCONs, but they couldn't make it out of the group. I think this time will be the first time where they will make it. I don't see them going far, but I think making it as one of the four best third place finishers is a realistic uh, goal or expectation for them. And yeah, I'm just backing them to come in third. I will drink something and I'm back very shortly. So we continue. Mauritania third place and to advance. Second place, I've got Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso, they have become a perennial, yeah, you could say, performer at the AFCON. They usually make it to the latter stages or at the very least out of the group in recent history at least. And there's good crop of talented players in their team. They have some good attackers. They have a good center back in Tapsoba, and they they have also good pace. You know, they can play on the counter, but they can also play on the front foot. As I said, they have good pace, and there's always a good mentality to this team. That's why they perform always decently or well at AFCONs. And I think they are the second strongest team in the group. They can pose big problems for sure to Algeria, because Algeria are also far from being a settled side. But I think that game would finish maybe in a draw, and Algeria would top this group maybe. Yeah, maybe I'm not sure whether Burkina Faso would win the other two games. There's a chance that they could maybe slip a draw somewhere. So I think Burkina Faso is a decent team. I watched them also against Iran in a warm-up friendly the other day. They did cause some problems to our team. I think, yeah, they're for me top 10 nation in African football. That's my view on them. And yeah, I see them coming in second place. First place, coming in first place, Algeria. We remember they had a couple of tough years, rough years, last like 2-3 years. They missed out on the 2022 World Cup, and they got grouped at the last AFCON as reigning champions. They have bounced back to some extent. You know, they qualified in style for this AFCON, and they have acquired some dual nationals, you know, from France and so on, and they have strengthened the squad. It's a very quality squad. My issue is, can they come together at this tournament and get the pieces together and perform? Because also the recent performances, whenever I watched them, I was highly unimpressed by the side. I think they lack also balance, or see sometimes gaps in midfield. They are vulnerable. They allow, for my liking, too many chances to the opposition, and sometimes they look nonchalant as also, you know, I don't know what it is, but they don't strike me as a team with great cohesion or great team play. They rely on their individual quality. The individual quality will carry them out of this group in first, in my opinion, but I don't see it carrying them very far in the tournament. But we'll see later in my knockout stage predictions. So, Group E. In Group E, we have Namibia, South Africa, Tunisia, and Mali. Coming in last place, I have Namibia. I don't think there's much quality to the side. I mean, most of the squad plays the trade in either in Namibia or in the South African League, and in the day, you know, in modern time, you know, nowadays, I believe such squads have a hard time at AFCON to perform well, because you can have a domestic based core, you know. Let's compare to Mozambique. Yeah? I picked Mozambique to surprise. They have majorly a domestic based squad, but they have also a couple players in Portugal and elsewhere as well. And I think it's important to have a good mix. In Namibia, as I said, all the players play in African leagues, and it's not enough. It's not enough to play in this tough group. So I have them coming in fourth place. I know that they did pick up 4 points against Cameroon in AFCON qualifiers, but I regard this as a kinda as a fluke, so I don't read too much into it. Third place in this group, I've got Tunisia. Look, Tunisia aside, I rate. I think they had a very decent performance at the World Cup. They were unlucky to not get out of the group. I think they should have drawn Australia. They if they had drawn that match, they would have advanced, I believe. And they did beat France. They drew against Denmark. One of the upcoming players I like is Elias Ashuri. He's a winger and plays for FC Copenhagen. And we all know they made it out of a group in the Champions League, and he contributed to that. I saw some stat that he is among like the 3 or 4 best dribblers in the Champions League. So very impressive. They have still their experienced players like Msagni, like Skiri, and Sleety, Laiduni. So they have a very good midfield, and they have also a solid defense. Montasser Talbi is a very good defender. My point is, why do I pick them only to get third? Because I think it may take them some time uh, to get accustomed to the conditions, to the surroundings. This AFCON is in West Africa, and Tunisia sometimes they have a knock of starting slowly. Last AFCON we saw that they had actually many COVID issues, but they finished third in their group and went on then to reach the quarterfinals. And I can see a repeat of that scenario in this group. So I have them coming in third. Second place, and a slight surprise, South Africa. I believe Hugo Broos has done a wonderful job in reviving South Africa. He has given them new life. There are inconsistencies in terms of results. They sometimes play down to the level of opposition and draw games they should be winning. And in World Cup qualifiers, they lost even to Rwanda 2-0 on the road. The thing is, I watched highlights of that game, and it was a very wet pitch. So again, I think you should take that result with a grain of salt. It was not ideal conditions, not at all. And they impressed South Africa when they played the likes of Morocco in AFCON qualifiers and Ivory Coast in a friendly. And they gained a lot of respect with their performances in these games. And I think, yeah, they have a domestic-based core. Most of the squad they play for Mamelodi Sundowns, one of the most informed clubs in Africa at the moment. So there should be some good chemistry and cohesion within the squad. And Hugo Boss, we know he led Cameroon to winning AFCON 2017 AFCON. So he has shown already before that he can overachieve. And I think South Africa, they reached also the quarterfinals in 2019 when they surprisingly knocked out host Egypt. So you can't allow to sleep on South Africa as still a decent nation in African football, like a top 15 nation maybe. And I think they have also something to prove at this tournament. And yeah, I think they could surprise one of Tunisia or Mali, and that's why I have them coming in second. First place in this group, I have Mali. Mali, very exciting squad, still a relatively young squad, but now maybe a little bit more experienced because the current crop of players, they were also around at the last 1-2 AFCONs, you could say. And they changed the manager, now Eric Schell is managing them. It's a former player, he was himself a national team player for Mali. He has not much coaching experience. That's the issue with him, but I think he has been doing all right. He has been doing well with this Malian squad. They destroyed Guinea-Bissau 6-2 in a warm-up friendly the other day and showed some flashes of brilliance in that game. The way how they scored the goals was impressive. And I think they are due for a deep run at this AFCON. This AFCON is also in Ivory Coast, which is a bordering country. So Mali will be well supported, I feel. They were close to make it to the last World Cup, but they missed out due to an own goal against Tunisia. So I think they have shown us several times in the past they threatened to break through, but they never broke through. This could be maybe the tournament where they break through. I'm hoping that they would. I'm backing them to come in first place in this group. Group F, we've got Morocco, Tanzania, DR Congo, and Zambia. Coming in fourth place, another easy prediction for me is Tanzania. I watched them against Morocco in a World Cup qualifier last month, and I wasn't impressed whatsoever. Morocco won 2-0, arguably could have won 3 or 4-0. And I think they are a fairly limited side. There's not nothing special to them or much quality. They lack, especially in the final third. In AFCON qualifiers, they scored only 3 goals. Just alone to qualify for an AFCON by scoring so few goals is maybe a miracle. They have a decent league, Tanzania. They have, I believe, a very good club also. Zimba Stars or something like this, and also another club, I don't know. Because one of the Tanzanian clubs, I believe, reached the final of the CAF Confederations Cup. It's the based like the Europa League in Europe. So there's some domestic success in club football, but it hasn't really transferred to the national team yet. At least they are making AFCONs. This is now the second AFCON out of the last 3 for which they have qualified. But I don't think they have it in them to finish any higher than third in this tough group. Coming in third place is DR Congo for me. They are coached by Sébastien Desabre, and he's a Frenchman. He is a manager with a lot of experience in African football, has had some good success, coached also a big club in Egypt in Pyramids. He was the coach of Uganda at the 2019 AFCON when he leaded them surprisingly to a round of 16 finish. I rate him as a coach. I think he makes teams defensively very solid. And DR Congo, I would say they are still a top 15 nation in African football. They have many players who play the trade in European leagues. Cedric Bakambu will be probably the guy who will deliver them the goals. And overall, maybe it's not the greatest of squads, but I think it's a very decent squad. And as I said, defensively, I think they're sound. Yeah, these are my thoughts on DR Congo. Second place, I have Zambia. Zambia could be a surprise at this AFCON. They are coached by Avram Grant, the Israeli manager who guided Chelsea to the Champions League final. I believe, I'm not sure whether he won the Champions League or whether he lost the final. I believe, was he the manager who guided them to the final against Bayern Munich and they won it against Bayern? I believe he was it, but I'm not sure. And he is kind of a miracle worker, you could say. He's a very calm manager. He's a good demeanor. He's very good in man management and with communication with the players, instilling confidence in the players. I see Zambia playing some great attacking football. They have the confidence is sky high. They did lose to Niger last month in World Cup qualifiers, but that was a accident, I would say. One of the goals or so looked also like, very unlucky to me, like a fluke goal. And they have very good attackers. Fashion Sakala, Patson Daka, Lamek Banda, they have a deadly attack. And the reason why I'm putting them ahead of DR Congo is their attack. I think DR Congo have a better defense, Zambia have a better attack. So it kinda uh, uh, it is very balanced. They cancel each other out. So it will be very close. I wouldn't be surprised if the order of the teams they finished in is flipped. But I'm going for Zambia because they had also a very impressive 3-0 win against the Ivory Coast in AFCON qualifiers. And yeah, I rate their attack more highly. They have more capable players in attack. They have a probably better chemistry in attack than DR Congo. Yeah, these are my thoughts. For first place, I'm picking the reigning World Cup semi-finalists Morocco. They are many people's favorites for this AFCON. Not necessarily my favorite. They are for me in the circle of the favorites. If I had to name 3 favorites for this AFCON, mine would be Egypt, Ivory Coast, Morocco. But Morocco wouldn't be my first favorites. They have a good midfield. They are a solid team all around. And at the World Cup, we saw what they did. They beat the likes of Spain on penalties. They did beat Portugal 1-0. Pushed also France very hard in the semi-final. And they have kept the manager Walid Regragui. And I think they will look to go as far as possible. Whether they can win an AFCON on sub-Saharan soil, it will be a tricky affair. I think some people underestimate how difficult it is for North African and especially for teams. Egypt have history of winning AFCONs on sub-Saharan soil, sub-Saharan African soil, but not the other teams. So that's something to consider. I still think Morocco will be fine in this group. They have just too much quality all around, and they will finish first place. These are my group stage predictions. I will quickly run through them again. Group A, I have Ivory Coast in first, Nigeria in second, Equatorial Guinea in third and to advance, Guinea-Bissau in fourth. Group B, I have Egypt in first, Mozambique in second, Ghana in third and to be eliminated, and Cape Verde in fourth. Group C, I have Cameroon in first, Guinea in second, Senegal in third and to be eliminated. Bold prediction right there. And fourth place for Gambia. Group D, Algeria first place, Burkina Faso second place, Mauritania third place and to advance. Fourth place for Angola. Group E, first place Mali, second place South Africa, third place Tunisia and to advance, and fourth place Namibia. Group F, first place Morocco, second place Zambia, third place DR Congo, and fourth place Tanzania. These are my predictions for the group stage. Quick pause. Still nobody attending the stream. I'm not surprised. It's a very weird time I'm streaming at. We will run now through my knockout bracket. My round of 16 will see the following clashes. Nigeria against Guinea. West African derby, right there. Another derby. Algeria against Tunisia. This time North African derby. Egypt will play Equatorial Guinea. Morocco will play South Africa. That's a very unexpected clash, maybe. Mozambique against Zambia. So one of them are guaranteed to make the quarters in my predictions. Ivory Coast hosts Ivory Coast against Mauritania. Another interesting, evenly matched battle, Mali against Burkina Faso. Again, two West African dark horses, you could say. And the last round of 16 clash is Cameroon against DR Congo. It's again two bordering countries, and it's again like a derby. It's a Central African derby. So what I've picked basically results in many regional derbies. It would be great if that happens. So let's run through the knockout stage predictions. I won't spend too much time on each and every tie. I'll just give you my picks. I want to wrap this stream up in hopefully 10 minutes. Nigeria against Guinea. Nigeria have more pedigree in this competition. Guinea have never won an AFCON knockout stage game in the history. Is that going to change this year? I'm not betting on it. Nigeria, I don't rate them whatsoever, but I still feel that they have so much pedigree that they somehow figure things out, and so that they could perform at least admirably at this tournament. And Guinea, as I said, are not the side I can trust too much. I just alone the fact that I trusted him to come in second in the group and get to the stage is noteworthy. So I won't trust him any further to go any further than that. Next matchup is Algeria against Tunisia. North African derby. I'm picking Tunisia here because I think they are at the moment a slightly better side. Algeria might have the better squad all around, or the higher quality on paper, but I think it's a very evenly matched up. I saw these two nations play each other in a friendly not too long ago, and Algeria hosted that friendly, and it was a 1-1 draw. And I thought Tunisia were for large stretches of the game the better side. And I think this Algerian team, they still haven't clicked yet. They haven't clicked yet in attack. They're still relying too much on individual brilliance or quality, and I don't see them having the same drive or the same passion, really. You know, I see Tunisia as a more passionate national team than Algeria at the moment, based from what I saw. I think the vibes I'm getting with Algeria are they're good enough to make it out of the group, even in first. They rely on the quality, but the moment where they face the team that will cause them problems first, will knock them out. This is my gut feeling, my vibes I'm getting on Algeria. It's not. They could click into a higher gear, shift into a higher gear, and make it to a semi-final. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not betting on it. I think that's not the vibes I'm getting. I think semi-final would be the ceiling, but in my prediction, they go out to Tunisia. I think Tunisia has more to prove. They wanted more ambitious, and I see them as more ambitious. The next round of 16 is Egypt against Equatorial Guinea. That's the end of the road for Equatorial Guinea, they won't repeat the heroics of making it to the quarterfinals. Last time we made it to the last eight, I think Egypt had far too strong, well-rounded squad. Of course, strong attack, very strong attack. I think Egypt's attack is very underrated. Everybody speaks highly of Nigeria's attack, but I think Egypt might have, at the very least, the top three attack in Africa, maybe the best or second best attack. All the players they have: Omar Marmoush, they have Mustafa Mohamed Salah, Trezeguet. It's a very underrated attack, an attack that can score on the day a lot. And yeah, Egypt will advance to the quarterfinals. That's my prediction. Next up, Morocco against South Africa. This matchup happened in AFCON qualifiers. We saw South Africa beating Morocco at home. Uh, Morocco did beat them when they hosted South Africa, but that was actually prior to the World Cup. Yeah, I think Morocco would get revenge for their loss to South Africa. They suffered in AFCON qualifiers. South Africa, as good as I don't necessarily rate them highly for the raw talent. I think they are not as talented as many of these West African and North African nations. But Hugo Bros has made them play to the strengths and performing well. I think they will have a very decent tournament by finishing second in the group, but unfortunately they will run into Morocco, and that's where it will end for them. So I have Morocco advancing. Next matchup, Mozambique against Zambia. This is very interesting. Two surprising teams here at the stage facing each other. Both teams have definitely their strengths in attack, but I would say Zambia have a much stronger attack. They have more goal scorers, they have more options. Defensively, both nations are not very solid. They tend to leak in goals. Then I think it will just decide who has a better attack, and Zambia have, for my money, the much better attack, so they will advance to the quarterfinal stage. Next matchup, Ivory Coast against Mauritania. This is for me a no-brainer. I'm sorry. Ivory Coast will make it to the quarterfinals. Mauritania did well to get to the stage. This is progress for them. This is unprecedented. This is new terrain for them. Never made it to the round of 16. But they have something going, they are building something. So I think, but they will lose to the host Ivory Coast. The next matchup I have is Mali against Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso have been the more successful side in the last years, especially at the AFCON. Mali, they failed to break through. They haven't had any really deep runs in the last 3-4 AFCONs. I think it's time for them to finally step up and deliver a deep run at the AFCON. I see a lot of quality in midfield. The likes of Bissouma, Doucouré, many other players. I believe Haidara also. I think this is a quality midfield. They have a lot of pace also up front. The issue is just finishing. If they can finish off the chances, they are a genuinely great team. I'm backing Mali here. I think it's time now. The time is due now for them to get back to the later stages of AFCON. Burkina Faso, they had their runs in the last couple of editions. But at the moment, I'm not as high on them as maybe previously. But I think we'll still have a decent, solid tournament. But I have Mali advancing. The last round of 16 matchup I have is Cameroon against DR Congo. That's also a regional derby, you could say. It's like Central African region. I'm not sold on Cameroon. I did pick them to top the group kind of by default because I was left with them because all the other sides I didn't rate them either. I think they will go out. They will just go out at this stage. They will top the group and then will just bottle it. They will just not show up. Or I know for a fact that Cameroon struggle against deep block teams. There's not enough creativity in the squad. They don't have the midfield to break down teams. They are, in my view, a physical side. They rely more on the physical aspect of the game. It's not a very technically very skilled or gifted side. I think DR Congo can defend in a low block and can push this, can either win with 1-0 or push this to extra time and penalties and win there. We have a very decent manager who knows what he's doing, Sebastien Desabre. And yeah, I think DR Congo, maybe they finished third in my group stage predictions, but you always have, at the AFCON at least, at the last two editions, it was the case. You have some third place finishers winning the round of 16 clash and some teams who top the group going out in the round of 16. This is a pattern I noticed at the last two AFCONs, and I'm also betting on this pattern to continue. Not all group winners will win the round of 16 clash. Not all third place finishers will go out immediately in the round of 16. That's my prediction. So that leaves us with the quarterfinals. I will have to speed up now. Quarterfinals. Nigeria against Tunisia. I'm not, as I said, I don't rate Nigeria highly. Somehow they made it to my quarterfinals. This is the end of the stage for them. Tunisia will beat Nigeria. Tunisia will make it to the AFCON semifinal. They have underrated players. They have a cohesive team, good players in every department, I would say. They're just defensively and also the midfield is superior to Nigeria. So I think Nigeria's good attack will go to waste because they don't have the support from midfield. So I have Tunisia making the semifinals. Next up, Egypt against Morocco. This matchup happened at the last AFCON and Egypt emerged victorious in extra time. It's a very interesting clash. I think the winner of this game has a good chance to win AFCON. As I said previously in my group stage predictions, my personal favorites are Egypt this year. I think Mohamed Salah is due an AFCON trophy. And the supporting cast, I believe, will step up. It is not, it is by any means a one-man team like it used to be at the 2018 World Cup. There's a good supporting cast. There are good other players who can do the job. I think the fact that Egypt, most of the players play for Egyptian clubs, mostly Al Ahly and two other big clubs. They have good understanding of each other. They have good chemistry, and it's good. It's a good thing to have a domestic-based backbone, and then you back it up with some European, European-based quality or talent. I like the makeup of this Egyptian team, and I think Mohamed Salah is desperate at this AFCON to get his trophy. Morocco, as good as their World Cup were, I don't think they have carried over the momentum from the World Cup. I think it has gone, that momentum. They had a couple uninspiring and disappointing results in friendlies, and while many neutrals still hype Morocco or believe that they would win this AFCON, Moroccans even themselves are not very convinced or very confident going into this AFCON. That tells you, that speaks volume, you know. So I think Egypt will again get the better of Morocco in a quarterfinal, like just like last time. I think both teams are probably now slightly better than they were last time when they meet. I think Egypt are now better under Rui Vitoria. They have made a step forward in terms of their attacking play, and Morocco are better in the sense that they come off the back of their historic World Cup run, where they made it to the semifinals. But if I have to give a prediction, my prediction is in favor of Egypt. They impressed me also in a warm-up friendly against Algeria when they played with 10 men, but they gave Algeria a lot of problems. And there are also a couple other interesting or impressive performances. I think Egypt will go through. The next matchup I have is Zambia against the Ivory Coast. This is now where it will end for Zambia. I think quarterfinal run is a very good run for them. They did beat Ivory Coast in AFCON qualifiers, but for Ivory Coast, these were not competitive games. They treated them, you could say, as friendlies or maybe to experiment a little bit. Now, this is on basically on Ivorian coast, Ivorian soil, and they have just a much better squad, much more well-rounded squad. Yeah, Zambia's attack can probably match up or can uh, keep up with Ivory Coast attack, but all the other departments, Ivory Coast are far superior. So, with home advantage as well, Ivory Coast are poised to go very deep in this competition. They will beat Zambia. Last quarterfinal I have in the stock for you is Mali against DR Congo. As I said, I think this is Mali's time now to finally break through the quarterfinal threshold. You know, they couldn't break in the last 4 or 5 AFCONs. And DR Congo, I think, overall, they don't have the same quality as Mali. I think Mali, their midfield is much better. They have much more pace. DR Congo are a very physical side who play on a low block. But I think Mali could find ways to break them down and to get 1 or 2 goals. And I predict Mali to advance. So that leaves us with the following semifinals: Tunisia against Egypt and Ivory Coast against Mali. A North African final on one side, on the other side, a West African derby. A North African derby and a West African derby. For the first semi-final, I predict that Egypt will go on to reach a final. They will eliminate Tunisia. Tunisia have done well to come to the stage. They finished only third in my group stage predictions, but they somehow made it to the semi-finals because I think they will come to life in the knockout stage and perform better in knockout play. But Egypt, I rate overall the side with much more attacking prowess. They have a much stronger attack while they are still defensively solid. I think it is Mohamed Salah's time. I don't have anything to add. The other semi-final is Ivory Coast against Mali. I will pick Ivory Coast, the hosts, to win this one. They should win this. I mean, they have more pedigree in this competition. They are the hosts. They have also the better and more well-rounded squad. Mali's squad is good, but is not exactly on the same level as Ivory Coast. They have much more options off the bench as well. And yeah, it is a very talented squad. We will see uh, I think some guys from Ivory Coast, they will announce themselves. They will explode really at this tournament. So for bronze medal game, I have two teams who faced each other in the group stage. Tunisia against Mali. The, very often, if two sides face off a second time in the tournament, not always happens the same result again. This time, I'm predicting Tunisia to get revenge, or they finished behind Mali in my group stage predictions. Doesn't necessarily mean that they lost to them. Maybe what was a draw or so, but I think this time, when it comes to who picks up bronze, I'm backing Tunisia. I think they have a nice little team, with some underrated players, good cohesion, tough to break down, good defense. I like this team. I think they can pick up a bronze medal at this AFCON. Mali to finish fourth is my prediction. I think they would take this. I mean, it's the deepest one since like a decade or so for them. So I think it would be considered a big success for them. And yeah, so we are now left with my AFCON final after 1 hour and almost 70 minutes in. I'm shocked it took me again so long. Ivory Coast, host Ivory Coast against Egypt is my AFCON final. Two of my three favorites, Morocco, were eliminated by Egypt in the process. I rate Ivory Coast highly. They have a talented squad. It's a young squad, but I don't think they have the amount of experience or calmness necessary to win the final. I think they will make it to the final, and there will be one of these teams who just lose the final. We sometimes see this in major tournaments. We saw this with France at the Euro 2016. We saw this with Brazil at the last Copa America. We saw this with Portugal at the 2004 Euros. It is happening, not always hosts who reach the final win the final. Yeah, I think they lack the little last degree of maturity. Good, talented squad, but I don't think they are mature enough to go all the way and lift the trophy. That I'm still doubting. Egypt, very experienced side. It's actually, I believe, yeah, the oldest squad in the tournament, but I don't think this works against their favor. It demonstrates the experience they have, and I think they are due this year to win again in AFCON after not having won for more than 13 years. 2010 was the last time. This generation of players, starting from goal El Shanawi, from the back Hegazi, you have, I like personally Omar Kamal. He's a right back. I thought he was brilliant at the last AFCON. You have the likes of El Neni in center defensive midfield. I wouldn't say that midfield is Egypt's strength, but it is an underrated midfield. It is not as it is better than people give him credit for, because it has also the likes of Zizou, Imam Ashur. I heard that Imam Ashur is a promising player, and I watched also bits of him at the Club World Cup, and I can agree that he has good technique. He is composed on the ball. He has something to him. He could be a breakout player. The likes of Marmoush, Mustafa Mohamed, Mohamed Salah Trezeguet. This is one of the best free attacks in African football, without a doubt. It's maybe even the best attack. I would say it's maybe the best attack in terms of cohesion and team play. Guys will say, okay, you have Ivory Coast attack, you have Nigeria's attack, and so on. Okay. But these teams, their attack cohesion is not the same as Egypt. Attack cohesion with Egypt is the best in Africa. So they have, for me, the best attack. We have a decent midfield, nothing too special, but decent enough to keep the opposition at bay and to create chances. And the defense, uh, Hegazi will have to step up, I believe, and keep it tight at the back. He's aging, he's getting up in age and therefore not so fast anymore. But I hope that the team, it is a team sport, a team effort, will lead Egypt to win AFCON 2023. This is my finalized prediction. I've been set on Egypt since like 10 days or so. I mean, it took me very long to upload this prediction video because I was not set on my group stage predictions and how the latter stages exactly shape up. But I have trust, I have faith in Egypt this year. I think they have a great manager. Rui Vitoria has proven that he can knock out stage football. I mean, in Portugal cup competitions, he was good, made it several times to finals, won trophies, and I think he has improved Egypt, their attack and how they play is much more free flowing football, better chemistry, and we'll see whether the defense will hold firm. If the defense will hold firm, then nobody will stop Egypt. Then I think Egypt would then go on to win this AFCON. That's my prediction. Egypt would win the eighth AFCON if my predictions were to come true. They are record winners. They have a lot of massive pedigree in this competition. They always tend to show up at AFCONs, and I'm also betting that they show up this time. So these are my predictions. I I will say again my order from first to fourth place. So I have Egypt winning AFCON. I have Ivory Coast as runners up. I have Tunisia winning bronze medal. Would be the first North African bronze medal winner in many decades. I believe the last time it happened, it was in the early 80s. I believe 1982, but I'm not sure. So, but would be quite an interesting change. And Mali finishing fourth place to surprise, to go very deep, to impress. So these are my latter stages. So that's how I have panning out my AFCON tournament bracket. It has had many surprises in the group stage. We saw the likes of Senegal and Ghana not coming out of my predictions, my group stage. Bold calls, but we'll see how this will age. Mozambique making the round of 16. That's a surprise. You had DR Congo and Zambia in my quarterfinals. These are noteworthy surprises. And you had, of course, Mali in my semifinals, and you have Egypt winning. I mean, for some people, it would be maybe a surprise if Egypt win, because it seems like most people are banking on Morocco. But I always say this is AFCON. This is not the World Cup. We different a different mindset, different qualities are needed in order to win an AFCON. It's not uh, the same environment you face at the World Cup, especially in Morocco. One of the reasons why they did so well at the World Cup was it was in Qatar and they had lots of support on the stands. This won't be the case this time, in Ivory Coast, where they will have to deal with the climate, with the environment, with the ambience, different atmosphere in the stadium. And most importantly, they have to deal with the favorites tag, and that might be something Morocco might not master so well. I can see Morocco going on the quarterfinal run without any doubts, but I'm not convinced that they can go deeper than that. And the Morocco Egypt matchup is, in my book, a toss up. I'm not saying Egypt would be firm favorites against Morocco. That would be delusional. But I think it's realistically a toss up, can go either way. And yeah, these are my thoughts and predictions. So I have Mohamed Salah finally winning and lifting his AFCON trophy. He lost two finals with them in 2017 and in 2021. Now this is Egypt's time. Morocco's time might come in 2025 when they host it. I think then they will have maybe matured a bit more, acquired more pedigree or more acumen, and maybe with home advantage, it is a more favorable environment to them. So I don't bet on Morocco for this year. Thank you for your attention. 1.5 hours in. Unfortunately, only at the start of the stream, people were attending live. Is no problem. I know it is a very weird time I'm streaming this, but I had to get this out of my way. So I thank you very much for your attention, and I may stream sometime during AFCON or Asian Cup after games if I have a good mood and if I find talking points, or there's no guarantee. I will always decide uh, spontaneously, basically. So thank you very much, and please like the video, share it if possible, and comment also your predictions. That would be very interesting. And yeah, take care, guys. Goodbye.